I never thought my marriage would end this way. When Elise first brought up the idea of an open marriage, I didn't even hesitate. I told her there was no need. Our marriage was already done. She didn't see it coming, but in that moment, I knew there was no saving what we had. My name is Daniel Moreno, 32 years old, and up until recently, I believed I had a stable life with my wife, Elise, who's 29. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 3. From the outside, we seemed like the perfect couple, good jobs, a comfortable apartment in the city, families who loved us. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt steady. Or at least, I thought it did. The warning signs were small at first. Elise started staying late at work more often. I told myself it was just the nature of her job. Marketing campaigns can be brutal. But then there were the late-night texts, the way she guarded her phone, and those calls she'd take out on the balcony. I tried to believe it was just stress. I didn't want to turn into a suspicious husband without proof. Then, 2 weeks ago, everything changed. Elise was in the shower when her phone buzzed. The name on the screen said Maya, someone I'd met once at one of her company events. Annoyed, I picked it up, but the voice on the other end wasn't a woman's. It was a man, speaking casually, like he knew Elise well. He asked if she was free for lunch. When I spoke instead, he went quiet, then hung up. My heart was pounding when Elise came out of the bathroom. I confronted her right away. She didn't even flinch. She calmly said the number must have been saved wrong and that it was just a coworker arranging a client meeting. She was so convincing that, for a second, I almost believed her. But the way that man had sounded, it wasn't business. Over the next few days, I tried to bring it up again, but she dismissed me every time. "You're overthinking it," she said. "You're stressing yourself out." The more she brushed me off, the worse my gut feeling got. One night, I even tried to check her phone while she slept, but she'd changed the password. That's when I knew something was really going on. A few nights later, she sat me down at the kitchen table. I thought she was finally going to tell me the truth. Instead, she said she felt trapped, that we'd rushed into marriage, that she needed space. Then came the real blow. She suggested we open our marriage. She said it like it was a solution, like this would save what we had left. I just stared at her, numb at first, then angry. I told her she didn't need an open marriage, she was free to go if she wanted. I told her I knew about her coworker, even if I didn't have proof. She blew up, yelling that I was paranoid, swearing she'd never cheated. But I couldn't believe her anymore. I told her it didn't matter. If she was asking for an open marriage, she'd already left us emotionally. The argument got ugly. We threw every resentment we'd been holding in each other's faces. Finally, Elise stormed off, packed a bag, and left. I didn't stop her. That was 3 days ago. At first, the quiet was a relief. Then it became unbearable. I kept wondering if I'd overreacted, if maybe I'd destroyed something we could have saved. But deep down, I knew. She didn't suggest an open marriage because she wanted to explore with me. She suggested it because she'd already started exploring without me. Last night, I packed the rest of her things into boxes. I couldn't stand seeing her coat hanging on the chair or her hairbrush on the counter. Today, I called my parents and told them everything. My father used to work at a law firm, and he promised to connect me with a good lawyer. We're filing for divorce. This isn't the future I imagined. I thought Elise and I would be talking about kids by now, saving for a house. Instead, I'm learning just how fast trust can break and how heavy silence can feel. But one thing I know for sure, the real mistake wasn't ending it. It was ignoring the warning signs for as long as I did. A week after Elise left, my lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense man named Robert Kramer, called me into his office. He read over my notes carefully, then said, "Your case is straightforward. No children, no jointly owned property, and clear signs she's not acting in good faith. We can't prove infidelity without evidence, but the fact she left and suggested an open marriage is enough for a clean break." For the first time, I felt like I had a plan. But Elise didn't stay away for long. 3 days later, she showed up at my door. She knocked softly at first, then louder until I answered. She looked put together, like she'd just come from work, but her eyes were tired. "Daniel, can we talk?" she asked. I stepped aside and let her in. She noticed the boxes of her things and her face tightened. So that's it? You've erased me from this place already. I didn't respond. She started pacing. Daniel, she said, her voice softening. I know things got heated. I know mentioning an open marriage scared you. But you misunderstood me. I wasn't saying I wanted other men. I was saying we could try to grow together. I don't want a divorce. I shook my head. Elise, you don't suggest an open marriage if you're happy. You don't guard your phone if you're faithful. You don't walk out with a bag if you want to fix things. She winced but quickly recovered. So you've convinced yourself I'm cheating based on what? A phone call? A wrong number? You're letting paranoia destroy everything we built. It was almost impressive how quickly she flipped the narrative. I crossed my arms. No, Elise. You destroyed this. I just stopped pretending not to notice. Her expression changed, first anger, then something more measured. She stepped closer, her voice almost pleading. Think about what you're doing. Divorce is ugly. It's expensive. Do you really want to throw away 6 years over a misunderstanding? We could try counseling. Start fresh. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe we could rewind to before all of this. But then I remembered Robert's words. She's acting in bad faith. Elise, I said quietly. I've already spoken to a lawyer. The papers are being filed. The color drained from her face. For a second, it was like her mask slipped, and I finally saw the truth underneath. Something broke inside me as she spoke, exposing a raw nerve I hadn't realized was still there. Then she snapped, her voice sharp. So that's it? You're just going to do what your parents and some lawyer tell you? After everything we've been through. Her words climbed higher until she was nearly shouting. You're pathetic, Daniel. Weak. No wonder I felt suffocated in this marriage. You can't even fight for your own wife. The accusations hit like blows, but I refused to let her see it. I stood up, walked to the door, opened it, and said evenly, pack your things, Elise. The next time we speak, it'll be through lawyers. She froze in place, fists trembling, tears filling her eyes. But I didn't move. This time, her tears didn't sway me. Eventually, she gathered her boxes, cursing under her breath, and left. When the door shut behind her, it hit me. She wasn't heartbroken about losing me. She was angry because she couldn't control me anymore. For the first time in months, I felt a strange, liberating calm. The next few weeks blurred together. Endless paperwork, late-night emails with Robert, restless nights. Whenever my mind replayed the image of Elise's face at the door, cycling from fury to fake sorrow, I reminded myself, she wasn't trying to save us. She was trying to keep her power. Robert warned me immediately. She's going to push back. People like her don't let go without a fight. Expect guilt trips, maybe lies. Keep calm, document everything, and let me handle it. He was right. Just 2 days later, the first wave came. Elise sent me a long, emotional email. 3 paragraphs about stress at work, bad advice from friends, how she'd only suggested an open marriage as a way to test my love. We're soulmates, Daniel. Don't throw this away over a misunderstanding, she wrote. I didn't answer. The next attempt came through my mother. Elise called her directly, and that evening Mom phoned me, sounding conflicted. She says she loves you, Danny. She says she made a mistake and wants to fix things. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Hearing that almost broke me. But I told Mom the truth. She doesn't want me, Mom. She wants me on a leash while she does what she wants. I can't live like that. My father immediately backed me. He's right. Don't let her pull you back in. She's already shown who she is. When guilt didn't work, Elise turned hostile. One night I got a text that said, if you divorce me, I'll tell everyone how controlling you are. I'll make sure you look like the bad guy. That was the first time I felt real anger, not sadness, but fury. She was rewriting the narrative, turning me into the villain. But Robert had prepared me for this. Save everything, he said. Texts, emails, voicemails. Don't react. The more she talks, the more she reveals who she really is. He was right. By the time the preliminary hearing came, Elise had transformed in public. She arrived in court looking demure, spoke softly, even cried as she told the judge I had blindsided her. She claimed she'd suggested counseling but that I had overreacted. It was surreal sitting there, listening to her lies. Robert leaned toward me and whispered, "Don't react. Let her trap herself." When it was our turn, he calmly presented her messages. Her proposal for an open marriage, the manipulative emails, the threats. The judge read through them slowly, then looked at her. "Mrs. Moreno," he said, "these messages don't match the picture you just painted." Her face flushed red. By the end, it was clear the judge didn't believe her story. With no kids, no shared assets beyond furniture, and no major claims, the court leaned toward a simple, clean divorce. That night, Elise called me one last time. I shouldn't have answered, but curiosity won. "You're really going through with this, aren't you?" she asked, voice eerily calm. "Yes," I said. There was a long silence before she gave a bitter, quiet laugh. "You'll regret this, Daniel. One day you'll wake up alone and realize you threw away the only woman who ever loved you." I hung up, and for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. The court finalized things faster than I expected. After the paperwork was filed, all that was left was the mandatory waiting period before the divorce became official. I assumed Elise would fade from my life after losing in court, but I underestimated her. Within a week, I started getting calls from old friends and coworkers. "Hey man, did you really just kick Elise out for no reason?" Some even asked if it was true I'd been emotionally abusive. My stomach sank. Elise had moved on to her final tactic, a smear campaign. On social media, she posted about healing from emotional trauma, carefully worded enough not to mention me by name but with enough detail that everyone knew who she meant. My first instinct was to fight back, post screenshots, defend myself publicly, but Robert stopped me. "Don't touch it, Daniel. Every response keeps her narrative alive. Let her play the victim online. The court doesn't care about Facebook." So I stayed quiet. It was harder than I imagined, watching her spin lies and seeing some people actually believe her. But in time, silence became my greatest weapon. Her story started collapsing when she went too far, claiming I had financially trapped her, even though everyone knew she earned more than I did. Slowly, her supporters drifted away. Some even messaged me privately to say they were starting to see the truth. But Elise wasn't finished. 3 weeks before the divorce was final, she appeared at my apartment unannounced. She broke down on the couch, sobbing harder than I'd ever seen. "Daniel, please, don't do this. I know I made mistakes, but I love you. We can fix this. I'll quit my job, cut off my friends, anything you want, just don't leave me." For a moment, I almost believed her. This was the woman I had once planned my future with. The urge to hold her was strong. But then I remembered the lies, the threats, the smear campaign. "No, Elise," I said softly. "You don't love me. You love control, and you're terrified of losing it." Her sobs stopped, replaced by rage. "You think you'll be happier without me? You'll be alone, Daniel. Alone and miserable. And when that day comes, don't come crawling back." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. That was the last time I saw her. 3 weeks later, the judge signed the final papers. Just like that, it was over. I thought I'd feel nothing but relief. And I did, but there was grief too. Not for Elise, but for the years I'd spent building a future that no longer existed. That grief eventually became something else, clarity. I started taking care of myself again. I picked up running, something I'd abandoned during the chaos of our marriage. I reconnected with old friends. I even returned to painting, a passion I hadn't touched since college. Little by little, my apartment stopped feeling like a war zone and started feeling like home. One evening, running through the park at sunset, I had a quiet realization. Elise was right about one thing: I was still young. I had time to rebuild, to rediscover who I was without her shadow looming over me. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel heavy. It felt open, waiting for me.